Hi, everyone. We are going to use this video time to go through a walkthrough of the course and how things are set up in Moodle and some expectations. And then I'm going to go through how to do the signature assignment, which is a mathematics unit plan, to give you some tips and hints for that as well. So as you can see, this is an 8-week course and we are arranged by weeks here. So as you click on each week, you'll notice some learning outcomes, an introduction. There are theory and background PowerPoints and application PowerPoints for each week. So please make sure you go through each of those, take your time. You'll see the little megaphone thing. That means I have recorded some information as well. Please take the time to listen to those because that contains some additional information that's not written on the slide itself. So as you go through each week, you'll do your reading from your textbook. You'll go through your background PowerPoints, your application, check out what other resources are there, and then come down into your assignments here. There are 2 discussion boards each week. So what you will notice here is that the way this class was originally set up, the discussion boards had no place for a grade. So where you see the little conversation bubbles, this is where you will actually go in and post your initial and your replies. Down here, we've got the little hand turning in the paper. For the submission, this is just your placeholder for me to be able to put a grade. You do not need to submit anything additional there. You can copy and paste your initial post there if you want, but it's not necessary. So for each discussion board each week, you will post by Wednesday night. I typically go through on Thursday and reply. So as long as your initial post has been posted on time, you will get an individual reply from me. Some of them are kind of brief based on the topic, but if there is any point where it says, what questions do you have or what other help or suggestions do you need, I will answer those questions there. For that reason, it is very good practice for you in this class and in all of my classes to read what your peers have written as well. So even if you have 5 or 6 people in the class and you're not replying to each of them, go back through and check theirs because you may have a similar question. They may bring up something that you hadn't thought of. There may be resources that could help you too. A lot of times when you have questions to pose in an initial post, people ask really amazing questions and it gives me an avenue for even more in-depth teaching. So if you want to get even more tools and resources, please make sure you're taking the time to go through each of those discussion boards and see what else might be in there. And then each week you will have an assignment. So for example, some of them are specific answers to questions in your textbook, and some of them are individual chunks of your unit plan assignment. So those are project check-ins, and those give me an opportunity to give you some individualized feedback so that you can make those changes before you submit the full unit plan. So we're using a chunking strategy with you there. I've skipped down to week 8 here to show you some things about the unit plan. So if you click on the submission for that, it brings up a whole lot of information for you. In this, some scenarios are presented to you, okay? And you should have about 3 to 5 lessons, so no less than 3 and please no more than 7, and include the information here, okay? So it does look like a lot, but keep in mind we're building this as we go. So if you begin with the end in mind and you start looking at the unit plan from week 1 and start structuring it, each of your assignments and your check-ins around what's required at the end, you'll find that you have most of the elements there that just need to be put together at the end of the course. So you are explaining how the diversity of students presented in this scenario will impact how you teach. You will come up with a pre-test, a post-test, and how it'll be assessed. So how do you know what students have mastered? A summative assessment that's based in UDL, differentiated instruction, or some type of student choice based on learning styles. How you're going to share those outcomes with parents and the students. And then each lesson plan needs a scaffolding activity or anchor chart, your objectives and related content standards, and a formative assessment, scaffolds, interventions, or reteaching plans for students who might struggle, a CRA sequence, which is concrete, representational, abstract, and we will go over that in coming weeks. Cross-curricular activity, authentic real world activity, and how you are addressing diversity from the scenario. So here are your scenario choices. So as you notice, we've got second grade, fifth grade, seventh grade, and high school geometry. So you can choose one that aligns with what you want to teach or what you have experience with in there. And then as you're working through your scaffolding and your intervention plans, make sure you're checking. It specifies who, two students with SLD in math or SLD in reading, students with autism, maybe some ELL students, some RTI. So you are addressing these specific students as though these are the students in your class. Here is a template for that unit plan then. So if you hit each of these sections, make sure each of these are completed according to the corresponding rubric, you will be in good shape. So as we go through and we do unit plan checks, it may say fill in section 1 and 2 and 3 of the unit plan. Make sure you're coming back to this rubric to check to see that you've got everything you need. So how do these diversity elements, so different learning disabilities, students who have language needs or some other things, how might that impact how they are learning math? You've got your pre-test. That's going to then align to your, obviously, to your objectives and your essential questions and to your post-test. Your unit post-test needs to have a sampling of all of the different things that you taught throughout your unit. Summative needs to incorporate some aspect of UDL or differentiation, and there needs to be some student choice evident. Sharing outcomes, this is really important to let parents and students know how they're doing. So just a great job or A+, especially, for some of your younger students, then they might think, okay, this is great, but they don't translate that to they have mastered this skill, or, you got a C. For some kids, that's failing. For some kids, wow, I got a C, that's great, I'm happy. But what does that mean? That means they're doing average. That means that they've got some areas that they understand, but still some things that we still need to work on. And then make sure your lesson plans have all of the information here. Typically, this is going to look like a lesson plan you've done before, but you also need to make sure you have scaffolding and intervention plans. You need to include some type of CRA activity into each one. When you're working with younger students, the CRA is 3 very different steps. So you might do the concrete one day, the representational another day, and the abstract another day. By the time you get to high school geometry, you could work through all 3 within one lesson. So just think about your population of students there. This breaks down lesson plans 1, 2, and 3 individually here. So 3 of them go into your grade. You can have more. So if you create one for your lesson and you think, man, this might be a little shaky, I'm not sure if I've quite gotten it all here, and you just want to make sure, do an extra plan. If you have that extra 4th day in there and you've got 3 really solid plans, I will grade your 3 best plans from your unit plan. Okay. Obviously, I will give you some more information in each section of the unit plan check-in as we go, and there will be some more helpful videos and some more of the topics and some things in here and some lesson plan designing things. And email me if you have any questions.